Good evening and welcome. I now call this meeting of the Greenville Board of Trustees of the Greenville Independent School District to order at 5:30. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that the notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. At this time, we're going to stand and be led in invocation by Ron Galloway, Associate Pastor at Wesley United Methodist Church, followed by the presentation of colors and Pledge of Allegiance by Greenville High School NJROTC.
Good evening. It is a privilege to be with you all today. If you would join me in prayer to open up this time. O Lord, who joins us in this essential work, let us be unified today in our mission and goals. Though we may be diverse in thought and opinion, may we all focus on our shared heart for our city, for our community, for all those who have been placed in our care. May we listen to your voice today, the voice of creation, sounding out over destruction, union over division, peace over conflict, newness over past difficulties and disappointments. Guide us through uncertainty, light the path through any challenges that we may face. It is a holy task to stand as representative. It is a heavy responsibility to take on the pressing needs and desires of a community. With a single voice resounds a multitude of different names and faces, each unique and valuable. Today, strengthen those gathered here to carry this responsibility with grace. Stir our hearts with those of our community. Open our eyes to see all of the different realities that our neighbors live out in their day-to-day lives, and help us recognize the positions we have each been placed in to respond to those. O Lord, today we thank you for your provision, for the resources you offer in this important work, the people you have gathered with this distinct calling to be educators and administrators, to be active community members, to show each new generation the wonders of the world and provide them the keys to explore it. Today we are thankful for the season of opportunity we are coming into. We today sit at the precipice of new beginnings. May we be ready to take the direction you give. May your voice of unity, of creation, of peace resound through all the decisions made here. May the cast out be found. May those who feel invisible be seen, and may those who are looking for hope feel represented here in these conversations. Lord, be with us today. In your name we pray. Amen.
Color guard, attention, carry. Colors, ready. Cut, forward, march. Left, 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 right, 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 left, 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 right, 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 left, left, colors, pull, left, face, present, colors.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Carry. Colors. Ready. Cut. Colors. Post. Color guard. Fall out.
First up is recognition for Travis Intermediate Student Government Association, followed by the Greenville High School NJROTC.
Good evening, President Taylor, Superintendent Dr. Lopez, trustees,
staff, parents, and members of the community that are with us this evening. We actually have 3 recognitions, and I'd just like to say, hopefully, if you can stay for all of them, you don't want to miss any of them. But first, this evening, is the Student Government Association from the great Travis Intermediate, who recently wrapped up an exciting election season, giving students the opportunity to campaign and vote for their 5th and 6th grade class presidents. These newly elected student leaders will work alongside campus leadership to launch new initiatives and serve as the voice of their peers. Each grade level also participates in a leadership class where students are learning firsthand how governance works and how they can make a positive impact on their school community. So here this evening, to share a little bit more about the program, is Mr. Harris and Ms. Patterson from Travis. They're both Travis Intermediate teachers and the 2 newly elected class presidents. So if they would come up to the podium.
Good evening, members of the board, administrators, families, and community. My name is Damon Harris. I'm a 5th grade math teacher and an advisor for the Student Government Association at the great Travis Intermediate. I work alongside 6th grade leadership teacher, Ms. Erica Patterson. Our Student Government Association exists to give students a real voice in the school community. We teach them leadership skills, teamwork, communication, and most importantly, how to make a positive impact on the people around them. This year, our students have focused on building school spirit, motivating their peers to stay focused and progress towards testing goals, and creating a meaningful service projects. They work hard to encourage their classmates, support academic growth, and help create a positive environment across the campus. They have also been brainstorming ways to bring more unity and pride to the great Travis Intermediate, and we hope to continue to receive support so our students can keep showing up, participating, and representing our school in a positive way. I am extremely proud of our students for stepping up, sharing ideas, and learning what it means to serve others. Thank you for your recognition, our young leaders tonight, and for continuing to support the work happening at Travis Intermediate. I'm going to introduce our 5th grade class president, Zane El-Zakani.
Hello, my name is Zane El-Zakani. I am the Travis Intermediate 5th grade class president. Here with me is Stafford Jacobs, who serves as the 5th grade class secretary. Thank you for inviting us here this evening. I'm excited to tell you about the Student Government Association. The Student Government Association is a group of students who represent all Travis students. Our job is to help give students a chance to share their ideas. That means we listen to input and ideas from students and share them with teachers and administrators so we can make our school even better. Being an SGA is also about leadership. We learn how to lead with kindness, fairness, and responsibility. We work together as a team to plan events, solve problems, and make sure every student feels heard and included. SGA also focuses on helping our community, we organize projects like food drives, spirit days, fundraisers, or activities to help welcome new students. We encourage everyone to give back, show school pride, and support each other. Another big part of SGA is making school fun and positive. We can help plan things like dances, spirit weeks, Texas snow visits, and celebration. Activities that bring everyone together. We want school to be a place where you can learn, have fun, and feel excited to come to school every day. This year, our goals include planning more fun student activities and field trips and creating projects that promote kindness and teamwork all around our school. Thank you for listening, and I hope you're excited as I am about everything SGA can do for the great Travis Intermediate.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming. I'm Eli Cantu, 6th grade student body representative here at the Great Travis Intermediate School. And I'm here to tell you guys about one of my favorite classes, Student Leadership, and its amazing teacher, Ms. Patterson. Sorry. Student Leadership, Here in 6th grade Student Leadership, we teach the young minds of our generation how to be a leader and not a follower. And we believe it is important for us to teach them that because the kids our age need to be led by a good example instead of the bad things we see in life, social media, music, or even at school. My personal philosophy is the things that we lead others to do now is what we should be doing ourselves. Now anyone can set an example and anyone can follow the crowd, but it's up to us to decide whether it's the things we should be doing. Are we setting the right examples or the examples we want others to follow? I believe that student leadership teaches us, the students, how to set example, but all we can do is lead. We can't force anyone to follow, so we need everyone here to help us set the best example possible, or the Travis example, as I like to call it. There are a lot of things I'll do as class president, but there are also things I won't do, like giving up on our amazing school, because I was taught to never give up, and with my new position, that's exactly what I'll do. I will never give up on this school. Some more things that we do in student leadership are things that prepare us for the future. For example, this past Friday, we hosted mock job interviews where we got graded on things we would get graded in a real job interview, like appearance and similar things. We also occasionally watch movies about leadership, then we ask questions and make real-life connections to what we would do and what we would not do. As young leaders, we don't like things in our community being dirty. So the 2 student leadership classes went and cleaned up the two biggest outside parts of our school, to give back to the school that helped us make who we are today. Now, I'm going to save questions for the end, but now I'll leave you with a quote from John F. Kennedy. Children are the world's most valuable resource and its best hope for the future. Now, everybody, thank you for this time and have an amazing week.
All right, everyone looking right here for me. Big smiles. 3, 2, 1. Do one more. 3, 2, 1. Let your parents take a quick photo.
Next, Greenville High School NJROTC cadets are being recognized this evening for their outstanding achievements throughout the fall semester and summer competitions. These remarkable students have earned numerous awards in drill, marksmanship, academics, and physical fitness, demonstrating their dedication, discipline, and teamwork. Their success reflects the excellence and leadership that define Greenville High School's NJROTC program and the pride they bring to our district. Here to share more about the many awards and accomplishments of these outstanding cadets is GHS NJROTC instructors, AZ1 Michael Flater and retired Command Master Chief Baron Randall. A mouthful.
I'm pretty sure most of you heard the baby out there crying. Good evening, Dr. Lopez, Board of Trustees, and GSID staff. I'm Command Master Chief Baron Randall, Senior Naval Science Instructor, Greenville High School, NJROTC. I'm accompanied by my battle buddy, AZ1 Mike Flater. It is truly an honor to be here tonight. Thank you for having us and allowing us the opportunity to provide you a snapshot of NJROTC accomplishments since the start of the school year. We have increased the size of our unit from 80 to 121 cadets from the previous school year and stood up 11 competition teams. Our cadets have accomplished and or supported the following events. For school support, they've supported Fish Camp, Open House, Parent Meeting, Spirit Team support for football games throughout the school year, North Texas Food Bank, Red Cross Blood Drive, Color Guard for homecoming and pep rallies, chaperones for the Golden Alumni Breakfast, Veterans Day program, and most recently this past Saturday, Navy Ball. Community support, C2 Rotary Club flag placement and retrieval, Cotton Patch, bike race, flag detail for Artie Murphy motorcycle event, homecoming parade, and Veterans Day parade. Drilling competition, 2 orienteering competitions, 4 air rifle competitions, Nimitz drill meet competition, and we will compete in Joshua drill meet competition on December 6th. Cadet recognition. 2 of our cadets took first and second place winner for the Disabled Veterans Association of Veterans Constitutional Amendments Essay Writing Contest. Recently had 44 cadet promotions. 30 cadets achieved their physical fitness ribbon awards. 1 student enrolled in the U.S. Navy and will ship off in July of next year. 1 student, Aaron Velasquez, was offered a 4-year academic scholarship at East Texas Baptist University. And we recently took 30 cadets on an educational field trip to the National Medal of Honor Museum in Arlington, Texas. Dr. Lopez, we thank you and the Board of Trustees, your staff, and Dr. Stewart and the staff of Greenville High School for supporting the NJROTC program. Before I step away, I would like to ask Dr. Lopez to join me to recognize 2 of our hard-charging cadets for presenting 2 long overdue awards. Cadet Lieutenant Commander Aaron Velasquez, front and center. Veterans of Foreign Wars in the United States takes pleasure in presenting the JROTC Citation and Medal Award to Cadet Lieutenant Commander Aaron Velasquez. Cadet Lieutenant Junior Grade Kimberly Lynch, front and center. The Military Order of the World Wars proudly presents its Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps Award of Merit to Cadet Lieutenant Junior Grade Kimberly Lynch. The 2 cadets recognized today is just a small sampling of the hard work and dedication our 121 cadet units pursue to become better students, better sons, better daughters, positive role models, and most of all, better citizens. Thank you again for allowing AZ1 and I to showcase our amazing students. Thank you.
On behalf of our Board of Trustees, the entire district, we want to thank you for your leadership, for your unwavered excellence, and for being great role models for our community. Board, would you join me for a photo?
Some of you may have to come like shorter to the front. Make 2 of those scooch together.
Okay, everyone looking right here for me. Big smiles, here we go. 3, 2, 1. One more, 3, 2, 1. And look at your parents real quick. Congratulations.
You may not get the baby back. Take the baby back.
That made me a little nervous.
Looked like you were breaking a sweat.
I did a little bit.
Those were some amazing programs. And I just want to say for Mr. Harris, I've heard so much about you. Those kids talk, the parents talk, the school leadership, thank you for bringing that back. And in JROTC, they have, if you were at the Veterans Day program and you saw them, oh, here we go.
Good evening, everyone. I've been waiting a long time to say this. The Greenville ISD bond passed. What a tremendous time this is for our students, our staff, our families, and our entire community. To everyone in this room, thank you. This bond did not happen because of one person. It happened because of an entire community came together with a shared vision for what's possible for our students. First, I want to recognize our Board of Trustees. Your leadership and your commitment to doing what's best for kids guided us every step of the way. You asked hard questions. You studied the priorities, and you always kept students at the center. Thank you for your service and your trust. I also want to acknowledge the incredible Greenville ISD staff. You helped communicate, educate, support our efforts throughout this entire journey. You answered questions, shared information, and stood for our district. Thank you for the countless hours behind the scenes that made such a big difference. To the members of our Facility Planning Committee, you spent the months studying our data, touring our facilities, and participating in deep discussions about the future of GISD. You represented every corner of our community, and your recommendations laid the foundation for what the voters ultimately approved. We are extremely grateful for your dedication. To our PAC members, thank you for your time, your passion, your advocacy, and for getting out there to make sure that our community understood what this bond would accomplish. You gave your evenings and your weekends. You answered questions, and you helped drive voter engagement in a big way. To our partners at WA Architects, thank you for your expertise, your patience, and your guidance throughout this entire process. You walked alongside us for months to ensure that we were accurate, transparent, and responsible in what we present to our community. To everyone here tonight, whether you worked behind the scenes, volunteered your time, gave feedback, or simply cast your vote, you helped make history for Greenville ISD. This bond is a promise to our students that their community believes in their future. This is not the finish line, this is the starting line. Now the real work begins. And I can tell you, standing here tonight, or seated, which I am right now, surrounded by such dedicated and passionate people, there is no team that I would rather take this journey on than the one right here in this room. Thank you for believing in Greenville ISD. Thank you for believing in our kids. And thank you for helping us to take this powerful next step in pursuing the possible for every student we serve. Let's continue the great work together. Go Lions! And now I've got a final feedback. Everybody who participated or assisted us in this bond, if you can come forth and join us up here with our board, we're going to try to get one group picture. So if you were part of it, come on forth or come on down.
Get on the other side.
Okay, all right, everyone look right here for me. Big smiles. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hold it. Oh, careful. Dinner and the show. Okay, here we go. One more time. 3, 2, 1. Congratulations. All right.
Are y'all gonna try and line us out? Thank you. Meeting's over. I just don't know how we go. We continue with all that. Wasn't that awesome? Moving on to open forum and public comments. We do not have any. So now I'm opening it up to comments from individual board members. Please remember to turn on your light so I can acknowledge you before you start speaking. You're still going. Miss Bonnie Jean Stewart.
All right, so we're there. It's a good thing that I didn't know that what was going on because I started crying and got tissues. But for everyone that stood in the gap for our kids, for everyone that shared the information, knocked on doors, talked to parents, talked to everyone around, thank you so much because this is what our kids needed and now they know that you put your trust in them.
Miss Edwards.
Yes, thank you. We are humbled. We are seriously humbled by your trust that you placed on this board, trustees, and this district to go forth. And we are committed to careful oversight as we turn this vision that we have into a reality for our students, our family, and our community. Thank you for your trust and in believing in the success of all of our students. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you as well. I know that it took a lot to get us here, and I'm very excited where we're going. And we've got a lot of work ahead. So I know Mr. Martin's ready for it. He's got that spreadsheet ready. And WRA and everybody else, I think we're ready and excited to get going. So, anybody else?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
From student government all the way down. Congratulations. And I'm just ready to see what God has in store for GISD. You know, looking at the new LP Waters and high schools and everything else. So, yes.
Okay. Moving on to governance. Consider and take action on an order by the Board of Trustees. I'll let Ms. Wade finish.
President Taylor, Dr. Lopez, trustees, this evening you're going to take official action to canvass the results and certify the results of the Greenville ISD bond held on November 4th, 2025. The results of the election are as follows. 2,831 votes for, 1,879 votes against. So I think you just need a motion and second and vote on those official numbers.
Can I get a motion?
I move to consider and take action on an order by the Board of Trustees of the Greenville Independent School District canvassing returns and declaring the results of a bond election held in the Greenville Independent School District on November 4, 2025.
I'll second. With a motion by Ms. Stewart and a second by Ms. Tippett, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. I'm sorry, 6-0 for minus Kadeem. Next, we will consider and take possible action to select WRA architects.
Good evening, Superintendent Lopez, President Taylor, board members. Now that we're finally here at this point, we passed a bond. The next order of business is to consider and take action to select an architect, in this case WRA Architect as the most highly qualified firm to provide architectural and engineering services in connection with the construction of the new high school, new LP Waters Early Childhood Center, conversion of the existing high school into a middle school, additions to Carver and Lamar Elementary Schools, and upgrades to the existing campuses, and to authorize the superintendent or designee to negotiate a contract for a fair and reasonable price. When hiring an architect, it's a two-step process. The first step of the process is to hire an architect based on qualifications. Back in October of 2024, the board interviewed several different architectural firms and named WRA as the most qualified architectural firm at that point. And with that, that completes the first part of that process. The second part of the process is to negotiate a contract with the firm. Up to this point, the board has been working off of small two-page paper contracts, naming the price that led us up to the point of the bond. And now this would be for an agreement for the superintendent to negotiate a master agreement with the architect. What a master agreement does is it sets the percentages that the architectural company gets based on the size of the project. It also determines in that what other fees and services they either provide as a part of that, or they can provide for an additional charge. And so because of the relationship that we have with WRA, because of the fact that the board has already named them as the most highly qualified, it is the recommendation of the administration that the board select WRA as the most qualified architectural firm to provide architectural and engineering services in connection with those bond projects, and authorize the superintendent to be able to negotiate a fair and reasonable contract with WRA. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions? If not, can I get a motion?
Make a motion to approve selection of WRA Architects Incorporated as the most highly qualified firm to provide architecture and engineering services in connection with the construction of a new high school, a new LP Waters Early Childhood Center, conversion of existing high school into a middle school, additions to Carver and Lamar Elementary Schools, and upgrades to existing campuses, and to authorize the superintendent or designee to negotiate for a contract for a fair and reasonable price.
With a motion by Ms. Stewart and a second by Mr. Johnson, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Okay.
The next order of business is consideration of possible action to determine the construction delivery method that provides the best value to the district for construction of those bond projects, and to authorize the superintendent to proceed with the procurement in accordance with the delivery method determined by the board. Previously, WRA Architects came to the board and presented a variety of different procurement methods, construction methods, and talked through that with the board. At that time, the board talked about a particular method, being construction manager at risk, as being of most interest, especially for the size of this project. It is common with the size of projects like this that CMAR is a process that's selected. There is a one-step and a two-step process for that. In the one-step process, what happens is the board puts out an RFP requesting that the different vendors bid by giving their percentages that they would use in the construction process, and also their general conditions, etc. In other words, giving their price to the board. The selection committee then looks at not only the price, which has to be weighed the heaviest, but at the rest of a rubric that would take into consideration other factors such as jobs of similar size, experience with the district, recommendations from other districts in how they've conducted their projects, and then narrow that process down to a committee that they're interested in. In this process, we're recommending that the board also do an interview with those companies to be able to ask questions, to be able to meet their project manager, to be able to meet their job site superintendent, and have discussions to make sure that the team that's being brought to the table is the A team. Whereas that second method, you do the qualifications first, then you come in with the pricing. The recommendation from the district is that you would do this as a one-step, asking for the pricing first, do the interview, and then a selection is made of the contractor that you believe most aligns with the ideals of the district. The advantage to the construction manager at risk project is that you're able to bring the construction manager in at the beginning of this process. They sit with the architects. They are there through the design process. They have input. They bring in their knowledge of the construction industry to what has worked in other places, what has not worked, recommendations that might help with value engineering during the design process, so that the architects haven't designed something, we get to the construction process and say, wait a minute, we might have done this a little differently had we known about this. It gives the opportunity for the two teams to work together from the very beginning to give the best product for the taxpayers at the most reasonable price. And so real briefly, I believe that Derek York is here. Derek is with WRA. He is going to come and talk to you for just a moment about, Shannon, if you go ahead and, sorry, I've got to go over here. He's going to talk a little bit about what that process looks like in terms of a timeline if you select the CMAR process under the one-step process.
Good evening. Thank you so much for your trust in WRA to help you with this process. It has been an honor to work with all of you and the community as well throughout the whole process. So congratulations. We're super excited to roll up our sleeves again and get back to work. Specifically with this item, with construction manager at risk, we would be here to help with the RFP. We would help draft that up. We would help with any supplemental information with all the bond projects that we know, square footage, cost. Obviously, all of that is just an estimate, but it helps the contractor shape their proposal. We would even be able to talk about the construction schedules and things like that. Just a quick timeline, as you see on the screen, some squiggly lines here. It's not nailed down, but we would work with the cabinet and leadership to, we would have to advertise for, I think, a couple of weeks, so that this would be out there for proposers to see. So we would draft that up. We're thinking we could have that ready. Thanksgiving week is next week, but maybe early December we could have that out on the streets. Usually probably have it out for at least maybe 2 or 3 weeks. 3 weeks would probably be the recommendation. So whether we open right before Christmas or we wait until like maybe the first week in January, we're thinking that would allow you to take it to either a January or a February board meeting. As Dr. Anderson mentioned, we would want to interview them, talk to who we're going to be working with and that sort of thing. So we would have opportunities for that, similar to what you've done even for hiring an architect. So we would be there to help you with that, help with any information, just like we have with the bond planning. So we're hoping that we could get them on board and get that owner-contractor agreement in place probably January, February timeframe. And then as we're doing our design process, as Dr. Anderson mentioned, they would help with cost estimates and feasibility and even double-check schedules to make sure, what timelines are realistic for construction projects and ordering materials and those sort of things. Any questions on that?
One of the great advantages of having WRA involved in this is they do help with writing all the specs for that proposal. But the other thing that they do is because of their size and the number of construction companies that they work with, they're able to take that RFP that we have and put it out there so it can be seen by the most number of vendors who would be interested in bidding on this proposal. And of course, with a bond of this size, we should have several vendors wanting to be a part of this project, which gives us the best advantage to pick the best possible contractor for this particular project.
Anybody have any questions?
I do have one question.
Yes, Roger.
As part of the process when you're selecting the contractor, can we make sure, I'm sure you already do this, but make sure that they're bonded, that the contractor is bonded?
Yes, there are bonding requirements that are in that. In fact, our attorneys are already drafting a particular contract for them, and in there it will have all of their bonding requirements. So they will
we
have to.
also require the subs to be bonded? Or
Yes.
is it just the GCs?
No, it's they. Go back. I think they have to be bonded as well. Is that correct?
I believe
Or
so,
these-
and we can double check that, but I think it's through, your contract is direct with the construction manager, and then they have contracts with all the subcontractors, but you're holding them responsible for that subcontractor work.
And will they all be background checked, all employees on campus? Will
Yes,
go through a background
that
check?
would be a requirement for their safety standards.
Anybody else have any questions?
It's administration's recommendation that the board approve the construction at risk one-step process as the procurement method and for these bond projects, and for the superintendent to be able to begin that procurement process for the CMAR.
I move the board approve construction manager at risk one-step process as the construction delivery method that provides the best value to the district for construction of a new high school, a new LP Waters Early Childhood Center, conversion of existing high school into middle school, additions to Carver and Lamar Elementary Schools, upgrades to existing campuses, and to authorize the superintendent to proceed with the procurement in accordance with the delivery method determined by the board.
A second.
With a motion by Ms. Woodger, then a second by Ms. Rowland, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
The next order of business is approval of a construction delivery method and purchase over $50,000 for the Greenville Middle School Auxiliary Gym 4 replacement from Ponder Company, Inc. So about a year ago, we started seeing some issues begin to pop up in the Auxiliary Gym 4. Had a few little waves that started out. The folks who work on our 4 every year at refinishing it said that sometimes they've seen that settle with a little bit of time, so they requested that we wait just a little bit, kind of monitor it. It either goes one way or the other. It didn't settle. It tended to get worse. So as we came toward this year, we had Ponder Company, who puts in Gym 4s all across this part of the state, come in to look at it. They did some moisture tests. We had some brown spots beginning to appear in different places in the floor. Their moisture test revealed that we had moisture coming from the bottom up on the floor, beginning to do some rotting on the floor. And so we had some curling of wood in some other places. Pogue, who was working at that time on our portables for Carver, offered to come in to do a cut into the floor and into the concrete and see what was going on. When they opened up that floor, there was water underneath the building. We brought in, of course, WRA And we also brought in McAdams Engineering to come in and look at that to help us determine what was going on. Ruled out a pipe break underneath, believe that it's water that over the years has seeped in, coming in off of the main part of the middle school building toward that particular building. So they looked at solutions for the issue, and the solution involves putting a French drain along the side closest to the middle school. It is going back and redoing the gutters and the downspouts on that particular side, feeding the downspouts directly into the drainage, putting a swell in the area that draws the water toward the drainage grates, and then to clean out all of the drainage from that area to where it drains out to the street to help resolve that. And then on the floor side of it, inside the building, that would be, of course, demolishing the floor that's in there, taking out the bleachers, and then abrading the floor and putting down a liquid water barrier that would help keep moisture from wicking through the floor, up through the subfloor and into the gym flooring. And so with our architects and our engineers, as well as construction companies that looked at it and the flooring company, they believe that that is the most reasonable approach to try to alleviate and to mediate this particular problem, mitigate this particular problem. As we all know, there are no guarantees in life. We'll continue to monitor that, but they do believe that that will at least slow that process down, if not eliminate it completely. The price of the project altogether is $167,821. Of that, $145,036 is part of what would be paid to Ponder. Ponder's part of that is the demolition of the floor, the removal and replacement of the bleachers, as well as the abrading of the floor and putting down the liquid vapor barrier on that floor to keep the moisture out. And so because that amount exceeds the $50,000 construction threshold, it is required under policy for the board to approve that transaction. This would not be money coming from fund balance. This is money that the district has in a construction fund. We knew going into this year there may be an issue with that, and Coy was able to set that money aside in the construction fund, and by doing so it is there and available for us to use for this project. It awaits board approval for that. Any questions about that project?
Ms. Woodruff.
I was just going to ask the timeline.
And I inquired of Ponder how long it would take to get things in. They said they would be eligible to start almost immediately, starting with the demolition as they're waiting on materials to come in. And then it's going to take them a little while to abrade the floor and do all of that work. I don't have the definite ending timeline, but I know it typically takes about 4 to 6 weeks to get materials in and about 2 weeks to acclimatize. So we're thinking it will be complete sometime in January and ready to play on at that point.
Ms. Edwards.
For the benefit of everyone in the community now, why would you suggest putting so much money in when they're going, but we're building a new middle school? I mean, a new high school. Our middle school is moving. Could you kind of, speak to that?
Yes, ma'am. We still have, before a new middle school would be in place, or at least moving the middle school to a new location would be in place, you still have about 3 years that we have to use those floors. And in the meantime, gym space is hard to get. I will tell you for sure, especially since Reese Davis has been worked on and the new rec center is under construction, everyone is trying to find our gym space if they can to play on at this time. But gym space is always hard to find. So that would be an area that would be able to be used not by just by the school district, but by the community. And then large spaces for community events is hard to find. Often you see elections held in different locations. That may be a place that could be used down the road for that. So the district does not see getting rid of the gyms at any time soon. So it would be an ongoing investment in that. Also with our athletic district at this time, they do require that the basketball teams play on 3 gyms at one time. That's not been a requirement up until this year. That kind of puts us in a little bit of a predicament starting with this. Fortunately, Some of the games started a little bit later time, and so doing so, about the time this floor would finish would be about the time that they would really need to have all three of the floors in play at one time.
So when are we starting?
I would sign the paperwork tomorrow and have them here as soon as they can.
One of the things that I would like to share with our community is that when we went through the bond process, one of the things that we did discuss in full transparency was that when it came to the middle school, we did not have definite plans, but one of the things that we were committed to was that those facilities, those gyms would be maintained and continue to be used. And so that was a promise to our community that we made, and we know that, as Dr. Anderson stated, that gym space is hard to come by. And although we don't have definite plans for the middle school when they eventually do become move to the high school, we know that we have to take care of our buildings and take care of our gyms and continue to invest in them, and like he stated, in full transparency to our community, there is not a guarantee that it will completely keep these gyms functional for 40 years, but we did get a good amount of years out of the current gym, and so we want to continue to be able to use them for the next 10, 20, 30, as many years as we can. But that was one of the discussion items that we did share with the community, and so in staying with that approach, it would behoove us to continue to invest in those gymnasiums.
And so it is the recommendation of the administration that the board approve this project.
With that, can I get a motion?
I move the board approve the construction delivery method of interlocal contract to Contract Ponder Company Incorporated for a cost not to exceed $145,036 as the best value method for the installation of the Greenville Middle School auxiliary gym floor replacement project.
I second.
With a motion by Ms. Tippett and a second by Ms. Edwards, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. At this time, we're going to go ahead and move to the annual delinquent tax update presented by Linebarger, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson LLP, and then we will resume the original agenda order.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. It's such a privilege to be here and speak with you this evening, and I thank you so much for letting me go a little bit ahead of the schedule. I will try to keep your time in mind as I'm going through my information here. And before I get started, my name is Brandon Lane. Hopefully you guys all know me. I'm with the Linebarger firm, and Sharina Williams is here with me, who keeps all of our daily operations going here in Greenville. Congratulations, by the way. This was such an amazing thing for you guys to get such a vote of confidence from the community in what you're doing and your leadership and Dr. Lopez's leadership. I think it speaks, very, very, very well. And I've been through some of the other past challenges that you've been through. So congratulations. I hope I get to give you a little bit more good news. It's not of this magnitude, but we do keep the nuts and bolts of you trying to keep your bills paid going every month and every week. With that, I will get started. Is there the presentation, or would you guys rather just look at the paper?
I didn't have any presentation.
Okay.
They have it.
Okay, everybody has this presentation. Okay. I will start here. If you can see on page 2, that's your Linebarger team. That's Mr. Gent, myself. There's Sharina and Shirley. And we've added one more team member at our Greenville office, Gracie, and she's there working hard for us every day as well. Not only those members, but we work closely with the Dallas office as well. And so a lot of our work that we do for you, we have collection members and phone systems and just dedicated collectors that are making phone calls on behalf of Greenville ISD as well. We've got over 130 employees in our Dallas office. And I believe 20 or so of those are just collectors that are also working on your behalf. If you look to page 4, I'm going to go through what we actually do for the school district just briefly. Of course, we collect your delinquent property taxes, not your current taxes, just when they go delinquent. That's a very small percentage. It's getting smaller for you, which is good. It means people are paying on time. When they don't pay on time, unfortunately, you need to do this work. And that's what we do. We are a law firm. We're licensed in all the state courts. We do our own litigation. We don't farm it out. We don't hire other law firms. We do our own litigation. We do our own appeals. We handle any Supreme Court cases ourselves. Beyond just the state courts, we are also licensed in 48 of the 50 states. We just don't have a need for 2 of those states, but we would get licensed if we needed to. Why is that important to Greenville ISD? It's because of bankruptcies. So if you guys have a large company here in the city of Greenville that files bankruptcy, we have an attorney that can handle that. We're out there looking proactively on your behalf. We go ahead and file proofs of claims, whether they send you a notice or not. We're representing you across the nation, whether it's in Delaware, whether they file in North Dakota, whether they file in Houston. We're going to represent the school district in the bankruptcy court cases. We also help with many things as far as legislative efforts. We have attorneys down in Austin full-time that are just keeping track. I know it has been a struggle and a fight for the school districts here in Texas over the last 6 to 8 years. We're there to help support that. We have information. We give out information to you. So if you ever need anything, please reach out to us. We have folks that are down there daily while they're in session that can maybe help you get information. I know it's a fight. I wish we had more pull as everybody does, but if the information helps, we're there to give you that as well. Going to page 5. This is a lot, and I'm not going to go through a lot of it, but this is our basic timeline and our collection process. In April, you turn over your business property cases to us. April 1st, that's when they go delinquent. So as the timeline goes, you get your tax bills October, November-ish. You have until February 1st to pay your taxes on time. After that, they go delinquent. They don't get turned over to the attorneys right away. There is a small window of time where you can pay. You're getting charged penalty and interest to the school district, but you're not getting charged what's basically our fee, a collection penalty. Along those lines, the school district doesn't pay us anything for this representation. We do get paid, but that's a collection penalty that's added on if it goes past April 1st for business property or July 1st for real property. So that is, in a nutshell, how we operate on your behalf. We don't get paid until we collect the money for you. So after April 1st for business property, July 1st, we go through and analyze every single account that you have. We try to make a plan for those. The only accounts that we aren't actively looking at for lawsuits or site visits are $15 and less. Once they hit the $15 mark, we start sending out letters, we're making phone calls, we're taking active collection efforts. If you have particular properties that maybe they don't, if there are particular properties that are a problem that you need us to look at, please feel free to call us, because we're limited in the number of lawsuits we can file, but sometimes it's been delinquent for so many years where there's a problem or a community issue that you need us to take care of. Please let us know if you have a particular property that we need to look at, because it's just been out there for a long time. It may just be a small dollar amount for a little bitty sliver of property, but if it's important to you, let us know and we can see if we can work on that for you. As we move through the process, we file lawsuits to collect this. We have to go to court to collect on behalf of the real property in order to foreclose. If we take a judgment, then we are allowed to go to a sheriff's sale those properties once a month. We have done that on your behalf, and I've got the numbers here just a little bit that I can show you. I believe it's been 16 times this year that we've taken properties to sell on behalf of the school district. So that means we've gone all the way through the process. We've tried to contact people. We've tried to work out pay agreements. We've made phone calls, sent letters. It's usually 1 to 2 years by the time we actually even get to take a judgment. By the time the process goes through, that's the very last step. That's the last thing we can do to enforce your taxes, and that's what we do on your behalf. So it's not the first thing we want to do, but it is necessary. If it doesn't sell, it can be struck off to the school district, and then we can try to resell it for you at more of a market value if the taxes have exceeded the value. So that's, in a nutshell, what we're doing for you every day. As the young man said, I'm going to save some time at the end for questions, if you have any questions. And I certainly will, but that's what we're doing for you. Page 6 is the different kinds of pay agreements. This was especially important through COVID. This page has been in here since then. We do have a number of different options, and that's always our first option for people to try to work out an agreement. Page 7 is some of the most important numbers that you have and that we have. If you look in the middle of page 7, in 2023, the delinquent amount of new taxes that were given to us that year was $1,200,000. This year, the amount of delinquent taxes that are new that weren't paid that were given to us is $1,461,000. So that's an increase of almost 20% in the delinquent taxes. A lot of that has to do with the values of the property going up. So as properties go up, so that the amounts of money, although the percentages stay kind of close, the values are higher, so the dollars get higher. And before I leave that page, the breakdown of the real property versus business property is 88.2% of that is real property, and 11.3% is business property, with about 0.5% just for mobile homes. Number 8 gives you some idea of if you just want to crunch down into the numbers. I'm not going to spend any time on this one, but this kind of gives you an idea of what these accounts look like as far as how many and the dollar amount. 107 accounts are over $5,000. Those are going to be a lot of times the primarily what we're looking at for litigation, because they are the most impactful for the district. But we're also looking at every one of the other accounts to find a way to collect those as well, whether that be by lawsuit, whether it be by site visits, or whatever we think we need to do. That's how we get paid. If we go to page 9, you can see the amounts, the total accounts that are delinquent, 2,195. The total base tax is $3,500,000. This does include the new money that you've given to us this year. And how that breaks down by collectability is, so when we're talking about collectability, this is an important distinction, because there are some accounts that are business accounts that we consider uncollectible. There was a corporation, they had some property, the property's gone, there's no individual there to pay the taxes. That may be an uncollectible account if it just wasn't collected and they were gone before we could seize anything or collect it. So that's what you're going to see there, primarily on the uncollectible amounts. The orange part, I think, is of more consequence to the district and something to keep an eye on. Those properties that are on a hold, those are generally deferrals, over 65 homesteads. And if you're over 65 and have a deferral, then you have the right to not pay your taxes. It does still accrue, but at a lower percentage rate. But we can't touch that. If it's delinquent, the law firm and yourselves can't collect it. You send them out a bill every year, but you can't collect it from them. You can't file a lawsuit on it. So those we have under the category of hold. And as more people retire in the community, you're going to see that grow, and that's more dollars that you don't have access to. Eventually, as someone passes or they sell the property, we'll be allowed to collect those dollars. So they'll eventually be collected, but as more people retire and the community gets older, you're going to see that grow, and that's going to be a little bit of a restriction on what we can do as far as the delinquent collections. And page 10 is ultimately why you wanted me here this evening. This is the what have we done for you page. We collected $1,577,000 for the school district this year. It's especially consequential in that it has almost doubled the amount of collections that were annually being collected for the school district since we've taken over the contract. The dollars we're given haven't doubled. We've just been able to collect these dollars and try to keep your budget above 100% every year is always our goal. So if you budgeted it, we're trying our best to make sure that we collect all those taxes that are out there, whether it's new taxes or old taxes. This is always our goal, and it's always our goal to beat what we did the year before. This is the highest amount we've collected for the district, so that was my little bit of good news that we got to give you this evening. And hopefully next year we'll do even better than this. I expect that we will, since you gave us more money. So that's my goal. If you look here on this left-hand side, you can see a lot of what we did for you. We filed 50 new lawsuits, and that's a lot. I will say it's getting tougher to collect right now. The economy is getting worse. Although the real estate market is still fairly strong, people's dollars aren't going as far. And so people are deciding, are we going to pay the car payments or the credit cards or the taxes? Our job is to make sure that the taxes are at the top of that list. We don't want people to not eat, but those taxes have to be paid so that your schools can run, the teachers can get paid, and your students have a place to sit. That's always our goal in affecting these collections for you. We disposed of 66 lawsuits, which means we either got paid and dismissed them, we took a judgment, sometimes we get paid when we non-suit the case, whatever those dispositions are, that's how many lawsuits we disposed. 16 tax sales, properties that we took to the sheriff to sell them for you. And most of those, I don't know if do we have the exact number we sold or collected, or okay, I can get that for you, but most of those are sold on your behalf or paid before they even get to sell it. And we mailed over 7,000 letters on behalf of the school district. Again, at no cost to the district. I did want to point out, and I put this specifically on here, as we're collecting your delinquent taxes and monthly you're getting money from our collections, you're also having results from the appraisal district disputes that sometimes end up being refunds. So as we collected $1.5 million, the appraisal district took back $500,000 from you guys. So we're constantly working to make sure that your budget stays green. We're in the black every month. So our collections on our end are offsetting to some degree those results that are happening at the appraisal side, where a lot of times the values of the property are lowered, and you're ending up having to get money back because their taxes went down. So I put that in there. That's a very large amount. It's larger than I've ever seen it, but I thought it was significant for you guys to know that and see that. And again, there's no cost to the school district for what we do. All those letters we mailed, the phone calls, the site visits, all of those things we do out of our budget that we get paid on that collection penalty. And page 11 just shows you, we just want to be part of the community. We want to show you that we care. We want to be involved in your events that you guys care about. And so if there's things that you need us at or want us at, or you just want to see us come help you pass out things or volunteer, whatever it is, y'all please call me, call Sharina. We want to come and let you know that we care about your business. We appreciate your business, and that it is absolutely our privilege to be here working for you. That last page, page 12, is your team. You can see me there kind of far towards the end. We really should have Sharina at the top of that page because she does the large amounts of the daily work on your behalf. That you can see Wade and I there are the attorneys that primarily handle your work. And Bridget over there on the left is our managing partner out at the Dallas office who oversees our Greenville office as well. And Liliana is our operations manager, so she's managing all of those employees that I was telling you about earlier. So please feel free to contact any of those people if you have any questions. I also provided the numbers that Ms. Woodruff has asked for in the past. It's not part of the presentation, but if y'all have questions, I'm glad to answer those about that. But that just shows kind of the breakdown of what's collected over the years, which year it comes out of, and how much is collected. You can't collect it all every year from every single tax year, but you can see a general progression each year that we whittle down those old accounts. And you'll see larger chunks under the newer years. Those are easier to collect, generally speaking. So the newer years, you'll see larger chunks of collections, 50% in 1 year, 60% in 1 year, whereas the older years are harder to collect. Sometimes those older years are part of that deferral process that I was telling you about. So sometimes we can't even touch those older monies, and the penalties and interest are great on a property that's been sitting there for 20 years. If we can't touch it, we just have to wait until we're able to. When we are, our part of our analysis is going to let us know, hey, we can go after that money now. And with that, that's all of the boredom that I have for you. Y'all please ask me any questions if you have any.
Anybody have any questions? Ms. Woodruff?
Thank you for the report.
Yes, ma'am.
One question I have, do you happen to know how many accounts that are deferred, like what dollar amount each year that we're not getting taxes on?
I can tell you, I do have it in the report here on page 9, only that there is $358,000 in base taxes. So when you add the additional penalties and interest to that, it's going to be a much larger number. But I can get that number for you if you'd like. And let me make sure I've got, so you want to know the exact number of accounts and the dollar amount of deferred?
Well, looking back, from like 2000 and back, there's still money that is, if I'm looking at it right, if you go to the far column here.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what the balance is as of November?
Yes, ma'am. So as of
$171,000,
yes.
So it's about half.
Yeah.
So do those account for a lot of the deferred?
I would have to look into that. But like I said, that $358,000, if you add the penalties and interest to it, that's probably going to be over and above $500,000 at least.
Is that penalty and interest included in these figures?
Yes. And I will get that information to you specifically, so I'll get it. Dr. Lopez, how's that? Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
There's no.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you so
Thank
much,
you
and
so
congratulations
much.
again.
Thank you. Thank
That's
you.
amazing and impressive, but I'm happy.
Yes, we're very
Thank you.
excited. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now, we're going back up to consider and possible approval of an agreement to sell customer vehicles and consignment auction agreements.
Yes, this is, if you'll recall, the board had approved for the district to begin to purchase vehicles through enterprise and to give the superintendent the ability to negotiate those contracts. All contracts have been approved except for these final two. These two allow for the selling of the district light fleet vehicles. It allows enterprise to be able to take possession of the vehicles. They clean them. They get them ready for sale. If there's logos on it, they'll take those off. They do all the paperwork for the transaction. They take them off to auction, and they've got access to be able to do that, across the nation, and typically get much better prices than we would if we tried to auction them off through the services that we use. And in doing so, they receive a $500 fee for doing all of that, and keeping up the paperwork and getting everything back to us. Whatever money is made on behalf of the district goes back into whatever process it is that COI uses that offsets the cost of the vehicles. So basically, that money is coming back to the district to offset that vehicle cost, and it was already calculated into the pricing that was presented to the board at an earlier time.
Is that $500 per vehicle or $500 flat fee?
It's per vehicle.
It's per vehicle.
They typically bring in better than average when it comes to selling the vehicles because of the fact that they have such marketing and being able to do that and being able to take them to wherever they need to take them to do that auction. So that should offset most of that. So our attorneys have gone over all the paperwork. They've done the red lines. A hat goes off to them because a lot of times big companies like that don't want to negotiate on their contracts. She got them to do that, I think, on every single contract that they had. And then get their attorneys to approve it. So the administration recommends the board approve the agreement to sell customer vehicles and the consignment auction agreement between Greenville ISD and Enterprise FM Trust Enterprise Fleet Management, Inc.
Any questions? Ms. Edwards?
Do we know how many vehicles we're speaking of, and do you have a breakdown of your make, model, or anything?
We are looking at, right now, because of the replacement, we're getting 22 vehicles. 19 of those vehicles are vehicles that we are going to be getting in new to replace. 3 vehicles are completely new vehicles, additions to the fleet. So it'll be those 19 vehicles, and I can get something sent out to the board that shows which vehicles it is. I believe that may have been in a few months ago when we did all this, but it's the vehicles that we agreed were going to be switched. Those would be the ones that they would do that with. We also have some other vehicles that the district owns that have not been auctioned off but are declared surplus. We're going to have to evaluate whether it's worth having them go ahead and market it and sell that for us, or if we're better off going ahead and selling that through our other sources.
So they could be profiting anywhere up to 30-35% off of a vehicle if it's not, in bad shape, and they can get as much as $2,500 for it. Even $3,000. So that's why I was wondering, why not a percentage of the sale rather than a flat $500 per vehicle?
Yeah.
Was that even considered?
That's just how they gave it to us, is the way that they do it in their business, is the flat fee.
Any other questions? If not, can I get a motion?
I move the board approve the agreement to sell customer vehicles and consignment auction agreement between Greenville ISD and Enterprise FM Trust Enterprise Fleet Management Incorporated as presented.
Second.
With a motion by Ms. Stewart and a second by Ms. Rowland. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Head Start, our littles.
Hello, good evening, Dr. Lopez, President Taylor, and board members. I'm Melissa Yost, the Director of Hunt County Head Start and the Principal of LP Waters. My presentation tonight is very short. The purpose of our presentation is for some consideration and approval of our Policy Council representatives and our consent agenda. This follows Head Start standards and things that we have to present to our Policy Council as well as our governing board. So this list here represents the people that will be our Policy Council representatives, our governing body representative, Jean Stewart. We have a chairperson, Morgan Watson, vice president, Betty Rodriguez. We have several parent representatives, Ebony Hernandez, Betty Rodriguez, Morgan Watson, Candace Aday. And then we do have 2 community representatives, Kadeen Johnson, who is representing us through the Boys and Girls Club, and Mary Shockley, which is AgriLife. So, these are our Policy Council representatives. They are part of our board that is located on the campus of LP Waters for Hunt County Head Start. They help us with all of our decision making, and we pass all of our procedures and things through them. So it does require a vote to consider and approve those representatives.
Any questions? If not, can I get a motion?
I move to approve the Hunt County Head Start Policy Council and Community Representatives.
Second.
Could you make Bonnie?
Yes, I thought it was, that's my fault.
I second. Okay, with a motion by Ms. Rowland and a second by Ms. Tippett, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0 with 2 recusing.
All right, and so the next thing on my agenda is that you would approve our consent agenda. Again, these are things that, these are different statements, our drug-free statement, belief statement, standards of conduct, our organizational chart. All of those things are things that don't really change year to year. You should have either copies of that, or it was put in the board book. So those are all the things that we have on our consent agenda this evening for your approval. If you have any questions about any of that, please let me know.
Any questions? If not, can I get a motion?
I move to approve the Hunt County Head Start Policy Council and Community, no, wrong one. I move to approve the Hunt County Head Start consent agenda.
I second. With a motion by Ms. Stewart and a second by Ms. Tippett, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
All right, and I do have to say thank you so much for all of your hard work on the bond. We have celebrated on our campus and we just can't wait to see what happens. So thank you again for all of your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
President Taylor, members of the board, Dr. Lopez. Tonight I have 2 agenda items to come before you for to consider approval. The first is a cell amplifier system for Travis Intermediate. Over the years, it's been requested at various times due to cell service on the campus to have some sort of amplifying system within the building for emergencies, campus administrators, that sort of thing. In the past, those systems were independent of carrier, so you would have to buy one for each independent telecom company. And so with this system that we would be getting through Bearcom, it includes multiple companies within that, so you can get AT&T, T-Mobile, that sort of thing, all with one unit. And so this campus is one of the worst as far as cell reception. Pretty much have to stand outside to get any sort of notification. So this would definitely help campus administration as well as staff to be able to communicate if there was emergency. And so that is the first item. If there are any questions, I can answer that at this time.
I do want to thank Shannon and Chief for bringing this. I know it's been something that's, when I first came in as superintendent, that they were concerned with, and of course it was something they were working on. But and I know our board takes pride in this and making sure that we can provide a safe and secure environment for our students. But our approach on this was that should there ever be an emergency, we need to be able to communicate with the administrative staff there, as well as teachers need to be able to communicate with the administrators. And so, thank you for staying diligent on this for our students and staff.
Any questions? If not, can I get a motion?
I move to approve the purchase of the cellular bi-directional amplifier system from Vericom in the amount of $106,577.89.
I second. With a motion by Ms. Edwards and a second by Ms. Tippett, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. The second item that I have is consider a purchase over $75,000 for our leased Chromebooks. These are the Chromebooks that are at Bowie, Carver, and Lamar. A few years ago, 3 years ago, the district moved into a lease agreement for this campus, which is for 2,056 Chromebooks. And looking at our options as far as at the end of this school year, it's in the best interest of the district to buy out of the lease instead of buying new devices for those campuses at this time, just because of the timing of when everything falls. Pricing is pretty ridiculous on Chromebooks right now. And so it's best for us to buy out the lease and use these devices for the duration of their lifespan. With that being said, we will phase into these campuses, meaning that even though we will purchase these, we will look sooner rather than later to start phasing in new devices there. This would just buy some time and allow us to continue to use what we've already started to purchase with this under the lease. Are there any questions?
Ms. Edwards, did you have a question?
Under the lease, was there an automatic replacement?
You mean more of like a warranty type?
Yeah, like they would automatically replace them after so long?
They if you continue the lease, they will replace them with new devices. But during the lease duration, if there was like damages, loss, anything like that, we did have coverage for them to replace those devices or repair, depending on the circumstance.
Any other questions? Ms. Stewart?
Do you have a ballpark of how much you're saving? I know this is a huge savings, small one. Did you figure out how much?
If we were to purchase outright, it was close to $500,000 to do that right now.
And how many units was this?
2,056.
And we're on year?
We are ending in July. Will be at year 4. Basically, is the best way to say it.
And when we discussed this, these you said could last till what year?
2029, as far as software updates.
Ms. Switzer?
And you had mentioned before that if we continue the lease, it's 200 and something thousand.
The original,
is that correct?
the original agreement on this was like $244,000 a year for these devices, and so that's why it's kind of like if you continue with the lease, you would get a refresh of everything, but you're going to probably go in with a higher payment because they're going to charge you the new rate, not the pre-existing rate. So that's kind of where that ramps up. So I didn't get them to bid or quote on what the new prices would be, but just looking at, for example, these devices, if you were to purchase them now new, they're about $260 a piece.
depending on 260 to 280. The models have changed, and so these are touchscreen devices. So now you got to go buy touchscreen devices to replace them with. Most of our testing is done now using the touch features, and so we wouldn't want to go back to not having that. At this point, that would be hard for our littles to go back and try to learn. And so you can buy new. We could just buy outright, or you could renew the lease and get new devices. But then you're locking into another 3 to 4 year term at probably $250,000 a year. So.
And you had mentioned there's no change in the hardware using the older ones versus the newer ones, correct?
Yes, if you compare the internals of the devices, a lot of what you're seeing in the market right now is just very good marketing campaigns to make the device look a little bit different. But a lot of times if we're doing a repair, the screen that we're using for our older device is the same screen that's in the newer device, and we're just swapping them. Keyboards the same way. If we're missing keys, we do full keyboard replacements. And so there's minor modifications that's more cosmetic, and you're not like getting a better system really by doing it until you spend a lot more money. So.
Anybody else?
I got one more thing.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you for always looking out ways to save the district money and always looking at stuff like this.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
One question, please. Do we have Chromebooks set aside that we use just for testing, or do we just use the daily ones for the testing?
So we do have Chromebooks that are designated for campuses that's already on the campuses for testing. And then the classrooms have sort of like their daily use, right? Their cards. And so these devices under the lease were just the carded devices. The testing devices were separate.
Anyone else? Very good. Can I get a motion?
I move to approve the buy and purchase of Chromebooks from Inside Investment in the amount of $92,520.
I second.
With a motion by Mr. Johnson and a second by Ms. Woodger. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Moving on to public hearing of Carver Elementary and Greenville Middle School turnaround plans.
President Taylor, Dr. Lopez, Board of Trustees, tonight we are going to have a public hearing regarding our Carver Elementary and Greenville Middle School turnaround plans. There are copies for anybody in the public in the back if you would like to see a copy as we go along as well. So we'll go through the plans and answer any questions, hear any comments that are related to that as well. And then the second part of that would require a vote from the Board of Trustees. So I want to talk a little bit about the turnaround plans. We began this work back in September. You might recall we received some scores in August. We received some scores back in April. We received some scores a little bit before then as well. And 2022-23 scores, the 23-24 scores, and the 24-25 scores were all released in about a 6-month period. You might recall that the 22-23 scores and 23-24 scores were held up due to litigation, but once that litigation was resolved at their level, then those scores were released. And so you will see up here that we have Carver in 22-23 at a C, the following year an F at a 59, and then they remain stagnant in the 24-25 school year at a 59 as well. GMS in 22-23 was an F at 57, in 23-24 lost some ground there to a 48, and then 24-25 came back up to a 59. What's important here is the number of years that we see in consecutive this. This does require anytime that a school is deemed or rated unacceptable 2 consecutive years, they are required to complete a turnaround plan. Due to the proximity of the ratings being released, especially those years in litigation, those all came out in pretty close proximity to one another. This puts Carver in 2 years of unimprovement status, or improvement needed status, or unacceptable ratings, and this puts GMS in 3 years of unacceptable ratings. What we want to do is make sure that we develop a plan that gets us to our targets quick, so that we don't get to year 5. That's where we don't want to be. We want to make sure that we are hitting our targets and getting there as quickly as possible. So we want to make sure that we get that done. Here's a little bit more in-depth data so that you can take a look at that for each campus. Taking a look at Domain 1, Domain 2, and Domain 3. You'll see with Carver having a 70 overall in the 22-23 school year, but with that we were at hit the wrong button, I apologize. We were at a 51 with student achievement, so that was still very much lower than we would want it to be. Where all that, a lot of that score came for was from academic growth in Domain 2A, and then closing the gaps as well. In 23-24, while student achievement did go up some, we did not maintain the overall growth that we did and saw in previous years. And then in the third year, we see that kind of flatlined overall with a little bit of a climb more in our closing the gaps, which means we had more student groups meeting at that meets level, which is what we want to continue to see overall. GMS, year 1 was a 57. Year 2 was a 48. Year 3 was a 59. They jumped up quite a bit, and they had a huge gain in their closing the achievement gaps there, going from, it was like close to a 30-point gain. So that was a huge deal because as we took a look at our subpopulations and the percentage of students that were meeting at meets, they grew in almost every one of those areas. That's showing much improvement there in that Domain 3. Again, there's just more achievement data, just kind of broken down by all tests for Carver Elementary and Greenville Middle School from the previous year. And again, that definitely reflects not where we want to be, not where we expect to be, but it is where it was achieved from the previous year. Both plans seek to address the instructional materials. The math student achievement has been an issue across the district, especially at these 2 campuses, Greenville Middle School and 7th grade in particular. Our science and social studies achievement has been lower than expected at Greenville Middle School. We want to make sure that as we have new administrators come on with new assistant principals, that we are providing that principal coaching throughout the year. So that will be addressed in the plan. And then continue to bolster our professional learning communities to make sure that our teachers are well prepared when they step into the classroom. The school improvement strategy that was chosen was to improve curriculum and instruction with 3 focus areas. Again, to increase those qualities of instructional materials to be adopted or implemented, to strengthen the campus leaders' capacity through professional development and coaching opportunities, and increase teacher effectiveness. So we'll start with the quality of instructional materials. You've probably heard Bluebonnet and STEM Scopes mentioned throughout the year, and that's definitely been a huge focus for us. New curriculum training for administration and teachers was provided on Bluebonnet and STEM Scopes during the summer and in our August in-service. That training continues throughout the year. We provided teachers with updated training for Bluebonnet in September, and then we have monthly trainings for Bluebonnet's administrative teams at the campuses and their lead teachers or whoever they desire to bring to that training as well. We have noticed that our Bluebonnet rooms have been very focused. They've been very on track. They have been helping to realize some gains. And so with that, our principals at middle school and Carver were really reaching out and saying, hey, let's talk about reading, or let's talk about this particular area because we're seeing some of the gains. We're seeing some of the positive things that are happening for our teachers. So with that, we are beginning a Bluebonnet reading transition for grades 3 through 4 at Carver Elementary. And so this is something that Mr. Jones is we definitely had some conversations with, and he has met with his teachers as well. 7th grade math, I mentioned that one group a little bit ago. That was a group that was also reaching out for more support as we have gone through this particular process. We've met with them multiple times. Mr. Brown and his administrative team have met with that team on multiple occasions with planning days and just making sure that they're mapping out good instructional strategies to be carried out in the classroom. But where they were looking for some more support. So for that middle school plan, we are looking to make a transition there for 7th grade math and start to support that transition to Bluebonnet math at GMS. With that, we have updated our scope and sequences. Dr. Crooks and her team have been working to make sure that those Bluebonnet scope and sequences are now in line as we look to make those transitions in 3rd and 4th grade. We are looking to update those scope and scope and sequence documents. I don't know why I couldn't get that to come out. Too many S's, I guess. So working on those, we're observing those classrooms for the use of implementation of Bluebonnet. We have been into so many classrooms with STEM Scope, so many classes with Bluebonnet, and we're just tracking to make sure that A, those materials are being used, and B, that they are on pace. And what we've seen with our Bluebonnet classrooms is they truly are. They're using those materials. They're making a lot of progress. And we've noticed that margin of error when a teacher is using those Bluebonnet materials is much smaller than when they're not. With that becomes our mid-module and end-of-module assessments. And wrapped in all this is our Region 10 ESC support. So we have worked with Region 10 extensively for this plan, or these plans that we've talked about. We have worked with TEA so that they have looked at those plans. But Region 10 is really helping us to make sure that this Bluebonnet implementation is going, from the training that we did at the beginning to support as we walk through classrooms. We walk through often with Region 10 personnel to get their vision and get their ideas about what's going well. Where do we need to adjust? What do we need to where do we need to pivot? So they have been very instrumental in helping us roll that out. And as we really look to roll out Bluebonnet reading in 3rd and 4th and 7th grade math Bluebonnet, they've been instrumental in that as well. Campus leaders capacity. Again, we've continued to train through Bluebonnet, STEM Scopes, and making sure that that everybody has been well trained, to make sure our administrators have been trained. Again, we offer those monthly trainings as well for the Bluebonnet component so that they can continue to be updated on that. A big focus, again, as we talked about earlier, was our professional learning communities, or our PLCs, and making sure that, that those are very robust and we continue to grow the capacity there. And that is along with our materials internalization and alignment protocol. Again, this is another area where we partner with Region 10 to be very well supported. We meet at least once a week with our principals on a Zoom call to talk just nothing but PLCs. So principals hop on, we get a little mini PD. We talk about what's going well, what's not going well. Principals submit artifacts about their PLC, so they upload videos about how they're doing that, and we take a look at that, and then are able to get a broad sweep as we review those videos as well. So those principals are deep in the work and making sure that they are well prepared before they step into the PLC, because we believe that that's where the teacher capacity is going to continue to grow. We want to make sure that that is continuing to happen. We did coaching sessions with our new principals as well, with the National Institute for Excellence in Teaching. As we stated earlier, we've got new principals at Carver and at GMS, and we started the year off with, in July, first day one on the job, we're starting off with culture and climate, getting ready to kick off for what that first day of school might be like. And then we will provide at least at a minimum of 7 coaching sessions for those principals to make sure that they are supported throughout the year to work on observation and feedback and just systems as a whole and operations. So we want to make sure that they continue to get up to speed very fast, and those new administrations are supported. PLC observation and feedback goes right back up to our materials internalization and alignment. We go in and we sit down in PLCs as opposed to, we see the videos, I shouldn't say opposed to, in addition to viewing the videos, we go in and sit in those PLCs and provide feedback as well. We do this with Region 10 personnel based on the protocol that we've established, and then those teams get immediate feedback. This is more for the principals and for the assistant principals and those conducting those professional learning communities, and not for the teachers. This is about growing the capacity of the campus leadership in this area. Again, working on those walkthroughs and calibration those PLCs through the videos. And then a new initiative this year is also with our STAR data analysis training with Texas Color Bands. We brought in data training for all of our teams at Carver and at GMS to really break down and understand the accountability system, to understand which kids we need to target, and look at how their growth impacts our overall student achievement. So that's been a big area that they've been focusing in on to develop their plans and then recognize growth of teachers, but most importantly, recognizing growth of students. I think Ms. Dennis did a really good job with her fall festival. I don't see Ms. Dennis, she's right over there. I'm going to talk about you, Ms. Dennis, so I'm going to apologize. with their fall festival. So they recognized their kids that demonstrated growth from their 9 weeks assessment. And they took a look at those kids and said, all right, if they started to demonstrate that they were growing from the previous year, and it looks like they're on track to meet their growth record for STAR, then they were celebrated. And so the way they celebrated them was they provided them pies in the face for the administrators on the campus. And so if a kid grew 2 levels, they got 2 pies. The more levels you grew, the more pies that they got. So that was kind of an incentive.
Some get 5.
Yeah, so, say it again.
Some get 5.
Some got 5. So that means they are going from way down here to way up there. And so that was a very good deal. So we're all taking a look at that. Campuses have turned that around for their teachers to really track goals with kids and sit down with kids and talk about what those goals are, because we know when kids are invested in achieving what their goals are, the more likely they are to meet them. So that's been a big component. The teacher effectiveness and capacity, again, that training for teachers as well is ongoing with Bluebonnet through Region 10 and Great Minds and STEM Scopes. As I mentioned earlier, we did a mandatory refresher for teachers during the month of September. Ongoing training throughout the year for Bluebonnet and STEM Scopes. Foundations in Teaching, or our FIT curriculum and teacher support for science and social studies. We know that those tests are not just 5th grade and 8th grade tests. So we are making sure that the grades below them, 3rd and 4th in science for that 5th grade test, and 6th and 7th for that science test, and then 6th and 7th for that social studies test as well. Those standards that they teach in those grades definitely support what's going on in those tests above, especially in that science test. Foundations in Teaching, curriculum support for our kindergarten through 2nd grade. That is happening constantly. Dr. Wadley, who is our consultant with that, is working with our teachers to make sure that our early literacy initiative is going strong and helping to make those recommendations as she is in and out of classrooms, taking a look at what is being taught to kids, how it's being taught to kids, and what we need to do to better those initiatives. So she's played an instrumental role, along with Dr. Crooks and her content coordinators, working side by side and hand in hand to make sure that that is happening each and every day. The next part of our PLC will be our data-driven accountability, where we'll actually take a look at student work analysis protocols. We'll be launching that into January, so we're looking very forward to that as we really started to nail down the materials and internalization piece of our PLC. That work analysis protocol will be coming next. Again, we mentioned the student accountability training and student goal setting back with our color bands. And then our instructional coaches are also receiving some coaching this year through NIET. So we have instructional coaches at both of these campuses, and we are starting to provide some rollout supports for them, so that as they are impacting teachers, we are doing that with a solid method that's been proven through NIET, or the National Institute for Excellence in Teaching. Budget impact, a lot of this is going to come from the general budget, or it's going to come from the instructional materials allotment. We will be looking to apply for the Cycle 4 LASSO grant, which will be helping us as we move forward with a lot of these initiatives. That rolls out in December is when that application is due, and we are currently working on that application to secure that grant. Our Region 10 partnership, and what we're doing there with the student work analysis protocol and the materials and internalization is coming out of General Fund 199. Our funding for our new math curriculum and STEM Scopes came out of instructional materials allotment. We did set aside funding for tutorials beginning in October this year. We were very intentional about that to make sure that those monies were set aside, which came out of General Fund 199. Funding for Foundations in Teaching, again, comes out of General Fund 199. And then for the National Institute with Excellence in Teaching, also out of Fund 199. One of the staffing impacts that we did have was we added an instructional coach to GMS for the 25-26 school year. And being new to that position, we did feel that it was important that she, along with our other coaches, receive some of that instructional coaching as well, so that when they go out to impact teachers, it's the maximum benefit. All right, that brings a lot of information to a close, so I'm going to open it up to the public and see if there was any comments and or questions. I'll turn it over to the board for any comments and or questions.
Ms. Stewart?
Remind me the timeline on the last upgrade?
The December, it's early December is when the application's due.
And they awarded
Usually takes about a month. March.
Ms. Rowland?
I just wanted to clarify that if we're transitioning the 7th grade math to Blue Bonnet, that's because we're going away from STEM scopes at teacher preference?
Yes, ma'am.
And then
We-
6th grade gonna do the same thing?
Yes, ma'am. 6th grade will do the same thing. Just like when, we consulted with the principal at Carver, as we made that, looked to make that transition, we consulted with the principal there. Again, those teachers have been reaching out and looking for more support, more different materials to work with. And so that's where some of that conversation initiated from. Yes, ma'am.
Good, thank you.
Mr. Johnson?
Will there be a turnaround plan for Travis in Crockett?
Those were approved by the board back in end of last year. I want to say May or June.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Tippett?
On here, when you say that we're transitioning to Blue Bonnet reading for 3rd and 4th grade at Carver, what reading curriculum were we using?
Great question. H&H was the curriculum that we were using. And so, again, when we saw a lot of the things that were happening in our Blue Bonnet math classrooms and the pacing and just being very much on point, many of the teachers that we were talking to at that particular time were like, we need something that's going to go along kind of with that structure as well.
So if this goes over really well at Carver for 3rd and 4th grade, is this something that we're looking into across the district?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Edwards?
When we're looking at this plan, I know in the past there was always a campus improvement plan.
Yes,
Every
ma'am.
year, every campus rolled out their campus improvement plan. And, that was supposed to be the thing that gets us over, get us
Yes,
to where
ma'am.
we were supposed to be. Now, I want to ask you a question. I see that you're pivoting, that's the word, yes, I like that, as needed. Was there ever a time that we might actually see how we did on the first 9-week assessment? And so we can see, why that pivot was necessary and
Yes, ma'am.
why it's happening, where it's happening.
Yes,
Do
ma'am.
something that you can share with the board.
Yes, ma'am. I would say that as we looked at that the initial data, what we saw were our Blue Bonnets classrooms were making a lot more growth in math than what we saw anywhere else. As we looked at some of our HMH data, which was the primary thing that we use across our elementary schools and intermediate schools, then we noticed that data was not demonstrating as growth, that it kind of stagnated or fallen back a little bit.
And we do have plans to share that information with the board in December. But right now, because we were on a tight timetable in communication with TEA and with Region 10, we've been working on these plans to make sure that we get them in on time with their guidance and with their support. And so we will be sharing that information with the board.
Mr. Johnson?
Sorry, boss.
You're good.
Is there any way that I can get a copy of Crockett and Travis?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
No rush. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Whitaker. Carver has how many students there that English is their second language? And does that have any barrier on how we're doing the reading? Or are you transitioning that? And how does that affect their testing?
Yes, ma'am. I don't have those numbers right off the top of my head on what that percentage is, but it's a high percentage of students that are emergent bilinguals or ESL type students. English is a second language. I said ESL, I apologize. So as we're looking to make that transition in 3rd and 4th grade, we are looking at the component, the Spanish component that goes right along with Blue Bonnet reading as part of that as well, to make sure that we're making that transition together and then launching us for success as we get ready for that 27 school year. Did I say that right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how do they do on the testing? Are they able to take it in Spanish or do they have to take it in English?
It depends on what the LPAC decided, and I can let Dr. Crooks talk a little bit more about this as well, but the LPAC has to make a decision based on the student's needs, and they can make that recommendation for a student to take it in Spanish or whether to take it in English. A lot of your newcomer students that may have only been in country for 1 or 2 years, they're generally taking it in Spanish, or that would be Spanish. And then as they get more familiar with the language, then we're looking at English as they progress through the system, because in our dual bilingual classes, the percent of time spent on English increases every single year. So then as we start to make that transition and make it over, then that testing in English becomes much more prevalent. Did that answer that?
Yes.
Okay. Again, we understand the necessity to move, the seriousness to move, and the will to move. And so I want to make sure that you guys understand that we understand that and want to continue to move our kids and our campuses in a direction that's going to get them to where they need to be. It's of the utmost importance.
And our overall goals, and I've shared this with community members, but I know as a board, we've also discussed this, and this is just, stakes are high, and our goal is that all of our campuses will be C-rated or higher. That's our goal. We're shooting for that and nothing less, and if we fall short, it's not because of lack of effort, but that is a goal that we've discussed with our administrative team, and I know it's of high importance to the board, and so I want, obviously this is televised and our community's hearing it, and straight from the superintendent of schools, that is our goal, C-rated or higher in Greenville ISD.
That's what I will say that, talk about the color bands, you hear a lot about the kids talking about it and about their excitement and getting to where they were, and so hopefully maybe the other, I know that it's only in a couple of schools, but maybe next year it could be across the district.
We've launched with most of our campuses, and so there's been some excitement around that. Yes, ma'am.
Well, maybe next year it will be optional for them.
There you go.
Any other questions? Okay. If not, can I get a motion?
I move to approve the 2025 to 2026 turnaround plan for Carter Elementary and Greenville Middle School.
A second.
With a motion by Mr. Johnson and a second by Ms. Rowland. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Martin, the money man.
Good evening, President Taylor, Superintendent Dr. Lopez, and Board of Trustees. I'm going to be presenting to you our first quarter financial report for the 25-26 school year for the months of July 1st to September 30th. So that's a 3-month span. So I'm going to start out in the general fund as I always do. We're going to talk about revenues first on each one and then expenditure budgets. So first off, looking at the general fund revenue budget, there's just a couple of things I want to focus on. Generally, what we like to see whenever we're looking at revenue and expenditures is that we have at least a 25% margin of receivable. And so generally speaking, on local and state revenues, we're going to see in the first quarter a low margin on those because we're not receiving a lot of our property tax revenue until the mid point of the fiscal year. So we're looking at November to March timeframe. And the reason for that for property taxes is because, as we know, we get our tax bills. I think we got them at the beginning of November-ish this year, maybe end of October. So then after those bills come out, that's whenever those revenues start pouring in to the tax office. And so once they go to the tax office, that's when they start cycling into the school district. And so we don't start receiving those until after November. And so that's why you see such a low amount there. And so then moving on to the state revenues, generally our receivable date for state revenues is also November through March timeframe. We're a mid-year receiving. But for this case, you see that we received 59%. And that's because we received a little bit more settle up from 24 to 25 school year than I was expecting, which is great news. As we go complete fiscal years, we go through several settle up times. And so right now we're in the initial settle up. We'll have a final settle up and then a final settle up. And I don't know why they do that to us, but they like to settle up a bunch of times. And it's just to make sure that they're comparing summer PEMS numbers, and they're making sure that we're getting every single penny that we were supposed to based on all the demographics that are sent in from the PEMS numbers. Like our SPED numbers are looking at bilingual numbers, all the demographics and special populations that are indicated there that we're receiving every bit of money that we're supposed to. So with that said, right here where you're seeing that 18 million, a lot of that is from settle up because we haven't actually started receiving a bulk of our 25-26 state revenues just yet, because they'll start pouring in the next quarter. So that is actually really good news for us right now in that standing. Federal revenues, I'm just going to recap what some of that is. It's not actually the grants that we talk about a lot. Grants are actually completely separate budgeted. The federal revenues that you see here are things like SHARS, our MAC, which is Medicaid. All SHARS and MAC are our Medicaid billing that we're able to do through our SPED programming, that we have to do a lot of work and effort to submit reporting on. If you may recall, in the past couple of years, the state has there's been a lot of lawsuits and litigation going on with SHARS and Medicaid billing, so the amounts that we actually receive have decreased by over half. And so I had to kind of note that there and accommodate for that in this budget. So it's SHARS and MAC, and then also E-rate, which is our technology type funding, special funding that Shannon's able to submit to the state to get approval on, where they're basically reimbursing us for a large sum of certain purchases. And he kind of talks about that every time he brings that forward to you all. And then lastly, in the federal revenues is things like indirect costs. So when we run big federal programs like Title 1, 2, 3, 4, and things like that through our district, whenever you have large grant sums like that, we have the opportunity to receive indirect costs for lighting, water, usage of certain spaces. And so that's essentially what indirect cost is. It's just it's like a fee that we're able to acquire for using operating big things like that in our district. And so you'll see stuff like that through there. Some of the bigger grants that offer that are, like I said, Title 1, 2, 3, and 4. ACE is a good one, and Head Start. And so you'll see funding like that. So I usually don't pull all of our indirect costs until end of school year. And so by the end of the school year, you'll probably see about over $1 million in that received in. So then looking and moving on to our expenditure budget. Excuse me. This is really tracking. I'm really happy where this is at. I, again, would like to see at everything around or below 25%. Well, being below 25% means that we're strategically budgeting. But if you're over 25%, I would say plus or minus 5%, 3 to 5%. That means that it's an area that I have to look at. So, for example, on the transportation cost here, it is at 41%, but there's a couple of variables in there that I looked into before this meeting because I wanted to be able to tell you about that. And so, number one, we had bus cameras that we made a purchase of at the beginning of the year, just so that we can make sure that we had the most up-to-date camera systems in all of our buses going forward. And so that was an expenditure that was there at the very beginning. It was quite high. The second thing is we had, if you recall, we got the loan for 5 additional buses. We didn't get those loans or those buses paid because it took a while for them to get to us until August. And so that money went out of our bank account in August. And so that's, again, a higher amount that's there. And then additionally, whenever we looked into it, we're already seeing, again, just like every year, and I hate to be a broken record, but we do have a bus driver shortage. Bus drivers right now are really hard to come by, and so we're really struggling there. So we're having to pay overtime costs and things like that just to be able to keep up and keep our buses on the streets to pick up and deliver our kids. So that's kind of the variance. And at the very bottom on the far right side, you see that I kind of add up the total percentage. That's really one of the most important numbers to me because I want to make sure that we're maintaining at or below 25% there each quarter. And so we're at 19.94. I think that's a great place to be, especially considering this is all of our beginning of year purchasing and things like that. That means that we really strategically budgeted correctly. Any questions on general fund budget before I move on? Okay. looking at state revenues, I like to provide this to you just so that you can kind of see where we get our projections from, how much we've earned according to school year days that have passed to date. So according to these ADA numbers, according to these numbers, we projected in my state template conservatively at 5150. And this is, again, ADA numbers. This is the number that is actually the most meaningful whenever I'm plugging into the state template. It's after the attendances are all calculated, after all of our special pot calculations come in. So that's actually the number I use conservatively to kind of predict what we would be at the end of the year. Obviously, the goal is to be higher than that, and we probably will, but I just like to keep that a little bit lower than the margin so that we're not at the end of the school year having to recoup, because I don't want to do that ever. So again, that 27.7 million, that's just what we projected in from the state template that we would have by the end of the school year. And so going through that, we kind of do a calculation of 162 school days. This is school days as in days that students are in seats, not like plan days and all that. This is students in seat days. We've completed through September 30th, 32 days, which is about 20% of the school year so far. And this in yellow is just basically how much we've earned based on our in-session days. So I just like to show that just to show you, like, this is how much of the percentage that we've earned so far. So now transitioning over to the other large amount of our revenue collection, which is property tax. And so again, I mentioned this before, you know, since the property tax revenues, we don't really start seeing the bulk of those till mid-year, because that's whenever after the bills go out in end of October, beginning of November. You're not going to see that reflected here. Precisely 1.53% is collected as of this reporting time frame, which is really low, but it's standard. One of the reasons for that, and I'd like to explain briefly, is that, you know, as you know, we are a July 1st fiscal year start date. A lot of school districts, over 50% of them, are a September 1st start date. And the property tax collection, the state revenue collections, actually benefits them a hair better, just because they are able to start a little bit later than this, and those revenues are really hitting them at the beginning of their year, whereas for us, it's hitting us mid-year. Because we've strategically budgeted and we're able to plan with that with our fund balance being good, we're actually, it works out really well for us. So I just want to kind of explain the fiscal year start date and how that affects us. So transitioning to the child nutrition budget, looking at revenues right now, you know, again, these are really, you know, trending to where I would see them. The federal revenues is where we see the bulk of child nutrition funding coming into the district, because that's our reimbursables for breakfast program, lunch program, and now dinner program. In this $324,000 amount, this is encompassing all reimbursables from the start of school year till now. And so we actually, in that amount, have not received any dinner programming revenue just yet. We have been in the process working with the Texas Department of Agriculture as well as Region 10 to get our application fast-tracked through. There's a little bit of delay, so we've been on the phone quite a bit with them back and forth lately, and we just found out, I think today or yesterday, that we finally got past the point of, you know, me fist fighting someone to get to the point where we can start submitting our reimbursements and start receiving that. So by the next quarter reporting period, you'll see that dinner programming aligned in there, and I'll break that down for you during that time. So looking at the expenditure budget for this, you see that it's only on one line because all child nutrition is under function 35 for food services. And you can see here the expenditures are a bit higher because we had to, since the dinner program was brand new, we had to bulk buy things at the end of September, or really throughout September, for the dinner program with currently existing expenditure budgets. And we did get approval through the Texas Department of Agriculture for that, because we have to have authorization to be able to spend expenditure budgets for what we already are approved on for a future starting program. And so basically the way that works is they'll still reimburse us for everything. It's just about a month delay. So I just wanted to explain that because that's showing $654,000, which would normally be a little bit less than that. But that amount does include all expenditures for breakfast, lunch, and dinner programming. Transitioning over to the debt service budget. Again, this is the other piece of the property tax rate. Which is also mid-year receiving. So we haven't received a whole lot of property taxes for INS today, but we will start receiving those very, very soon. So as of right now, we've received $210,000, and a lot of that is, those delinquent taxes that Brandon talked about earlier, penalty and interest, and a little bit. It's just kind of encompassing that. And so here in the next quarter, we'll start receiving the bulk of that soon. Looking at the expenditure budget, kind of the same. The amount is very, very low, $284,000. Annually, we have 2 payment dates per year for debt service funds. You pay in August, which a lot of the time is primarily an interest payment because they want their interest payments twice a year. And then our second time of the year to pay on debt service funds is in February, which is a combination of majority principal and then also interest. They're going to make sure they're going to get that interest from us. So that's whenever you're going to see the expenditures go up in this specific area. So that'll be after February. And again, I'd just like to note that paying our bonded indebtedness on time is a part of the first report that can fail you. And so we always are very much tedious making sure that we are paying those timely, because I do not want to be dinged on that. And then lastly, and for the last time, this is the maintenance tax note for Series 2023 that we started a couple years ago. The reason I say last time is because we have spent down all the money in the maintenance tax note 2023 project. And so that bank account is no more, and we've actually extinguished every single bit of funding down to zero. This is a breakdown of every single thing and how we spent it and how it went out of the district. Down below, you'll see a breakdown of the interest that we earned on that fund that was reinvested back into the project, which in turn essentially was able to pay for the majority of the Carver portable project that we were able to, due to a lot of the savings and things like that throughout the time period of these projects developments. And like I said, working with Dr. Anderson and his people and making sure that we're being very intentional about how we're spending, we were able to add in the Carver portable project, which cost us $810,000. I only had to pay from the general fund construction budget about $125,000. And so I think that's really kudos to us as we worked really tirelessly on these projects, because we were able to add that in at the last moment. Not the last moment, at the very end. Also, I'd like to note that as I've gone through this whole process, we've had a oversight committee formed for the maintenance tax note that has approved every single purchase. I've been monitoring these expenditures on the GISD website very meticulously, and so all of this is also reflected on the GISD webpage. You can also view every single invoice. I have posted every single one of them. And so I just think that's important to note as we go into the bond project, because I'm mimicking a similar process, but also kind of more vast. Like it's going to be way bigger. So you can also see this at we'll keep it on the website for a long time. So anyone can go see that at any point in time. Is there any questions?
Ms. Stewart?
It's not a question. I just want to thank you for the fiscal responsibility and the interest earned on this and how much it was put back in. And I think that's a lot of steps forward in building our community trust.
Absolutely.
I just want to say thank you. In my leadership class with other school boards, there are so many school boards that are in deficit that they didn't get past Vaders this last election period, so they're having to close so many schools. So I'm just very appreciative that we can actually say that we're in the positive and we're able to do what we're able to do with the kids, and we have a positive fund balance. So thank you so much for pinching pennies and doing everything that we need to do to stay in that.
Yes.
Anybody else?
If I can get a motion on that.
I move to approve the quarterly financial report for the first quarter of 2025-2026.
Second.
With a motion by Ms. Rowland and a second by Mr. Johnson. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes 7-0.
Thank you all.
We're moving on to the consent agenda. Would anybody like to pull anything off? If not, can I get a motion?
I move that the Board of Trustees approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
With a motion by Ms. Stewart and a second by Mr. Johnson. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Okay. We will now go into the closed meeting. Closed session. Closed meeting will be held for the purposes authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Section 551.071 as stated. Concerning any and all purposes permitted by the Act, including but not limited to the following sections and purposes. Texas Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with the board's attorney on all subjects or matters authorized by law. Consider legal advice regarding personnel issues. Consider legal advice regarding any actions, agenda action item. 2, Texas Government Code Section 551.072 for the purpose of deliberating the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. 3, Texas Government Code Section 551.074 for the purpose of considering the appointment, employment, resignation, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, termination, or discipline of a public officer or employee, or to include consideration of employee resignation for good cause. 8, pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.127, notice is hereby given that one or more board members may appear at the scheduled meeting via video conference, but the presiding officer and a quorum of the board will be physically present at the above notice location. And the board will now adjourn into closed session at 7:41 on November 17th. It feels so good in here. Okay. Well, the board will now reconvene into open session at 8:11 on 11/17. We need to take action on closed session items. Can I get a motion?
I move that the board approve the personnel report as presented.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Rowland and a second by Mr. Johnson. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Then, the next thing. Consider approval of professional, no. That's it, okay. Do we have any board secretary report?
No.
Okay. Future meetings and workshops, November 24th through the 28th is Thanksgiving break. December 5th, we have the Christmas parade, and I'm sure Ms. Linda will be giving us details about that. December 15th, we have our regular board meeting. So we will adjourn at 8:12.
Good job.